Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to IRL Tier 2 Belgium Spa. For our Tier 2 race today, I will be your host and commentator, Woo Shiesty 420, and I am back in the booth, everybody. And I'm so excited for this race today here in Tier 2. I also, too, in my ear, am in the Discord VC, and so I have a few individuals in my ear too. I have the lovely Fate driving in the V-Carb here tonight, Solz, McLaren TP himself, and my goat, my Brazilian goat, Zezen too. He's AFK right now, but did Fate say that again? Oh wow, I hear from Fate there is a possibility of some rain today here in the race, here in Tier 2, as Fate tries and gets me giggling once again in the booth. Oh my goodness, Fate, you little clown, you. Here we go as we see one of the Mercedes, Ben Arnold, driving out here today. Pretty sure he's a new guy. Boys in the VC, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Newish, but first time in the Mercedes car for him, rocking the number 2 number. Our GOAT Logan Sargent rocked that number in real life too. Spark hopping on an outlap, as well as my GOAT himself, Washaki, too, hopping out. So is Solzy too, also on an outlap. Coming out of the pits, and I see another Williams well, and that is Dylan. If you notice too, I have 3 drivers in this race. Why are they not all driving Williams? Well, Andy, the normal Tier 2 driver, is going to be in the Williams car. Dylan is the first one to ask to reserve, so he will be in the second Williams car. Mark will be driving in the McLaren for Solzy today to be his teammate. So, but we'll stick aboard with Ben Arnold here, as he will be the first one to set our times here today in Spa for our qualifying session if he does not invalidate on his outlap today. We're rocking that beautiful Mercedes. Mercedes, my goat's doing so well in IRL 2. George and Kimmy have been killing it so far in real life too, as a few others come out too. Fate coming out on an outlap. Stark Diaz too himself coming out on a hot lap, on an outlap too, trying to get some time, some show on the road. But the Red Bull, it looks like, of Mersaki, Alpine of Spark, and Solz too are a bit jumbled up, so we'll see how that goes, if anybody will catch a slipstream from anybody going in, as we will follow Ben Arnold here, follow along with him as we begin here in Spa. Getting rid of some UI to get as much screen time of this car as possible. We'll include a few other items like this too, as he gasses on the battery, heading down into Eau Rouge, flat out on the battery. Going into the first DRS zone, he will most likely get a slipstream from the Ferrari in front of him, trying to get as fast as he can, get as much. Oh my goodness, narrowly misses the Ferrari to clip his front wing. Sets an obvious purple sector in Sector 1 here, but cutting it very close with that Ferrari is Ben here. Very aggressive out on track as he starts his hot lap here in Sector 2. Heading into the turn, down the straight into the wide left-hander here in Sector 2. Stays flat out, downshifts, hops on the battery. Coming into the technical portion, end of the technical portion of the track here in Spa. Now here on out, it is flat out through the race until the chicane. Purple sector 2 as obvious. Saving his battery. Still on medium, it looks like, in terms of battery deployment. Flat out not using it though. Now decides to use it briefly. There's this, most likely saving it for this little DRS zone here. Goes into the chicane cleanly into the first part. Hops on the curb. Exit nice and clean. Ooh, maybe a little bit of oversteer there. Hops on the battery. Sets a provisional pole time of a 1:42.65 as a Red Bull comes behind to, I believe that is Mersaky. Mersaky on provisional pole right now too at the 1:41.9. Sparks sets a 1:44.7. Solz with a 1:42.4 slots himself into P2. As we'll see, I believe a Williams driver, that is Dylan, dead on battery, rocking that beautiful Coda livery. Coming out, setting a time of a 1:42.8 across the line. It looks like Fate will be the next man up in Sector 3. Very low in terms of deployment left, and his deployment is used. I am so sorry about that. Siri got my attention for some odd reason on my watch. But Fate finishing up strong here. His deployment is used, so he will be a little slow. Oh my goodness! Goes for a little Tokyo drift spin and ruins his lap, folks. That is not good as he tries to wiggle himself out and back into the pits. That is a very poor showing from the Red Racing Bulls driver. But a Ferrari comes across Stark Diaz with a 1:44.7 to Mark on an outlap. But Andy crossing the line here too. The other Williams driver starting his fast lap. Mark 2 right behind him. Andy, I know he's in another team right now, but I will look away if you give him a slipstream. I'm just kidding. Just a prank. It's just a prank, chat. It's a prank. It's a prank. Toasty is in chat. Toasty oven bread, my goat. To Andy here, finishing off Sector 1 in the first DRS straight, downing that battery very quickly. Sets a purple Sector 1 here in the Williams car, heading into the technical portion of Spa in 5th gear on the battery. Heading into the U-turn, right-handed U-turn. Stays in 4th gear, very interestingly. Hops on the gas, goes into 5th, drops down to 4th. Hopping out into the straight. Here in the beefy portion of Sector 2. And the wide left-hander, the Williams driver, to Blitz. I just now realized Blitz setting a time of a 1:41.989, very close to Mersaky up there in provisional pole. And the 141s are being broken into right now. Will we see more people head into the 141s? I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. Chat, I really don't know. Solzy says 5/10 to Mersaky. Very, as he sits in the podium position going into this race. To Andy finishing up his lap. DRS opens, deployment used, heads it, sets a time of a 1:42.989, an exact full second behind Solzy as Mark decides to take away Solz P3 for a 1:42.1. Right behind him, as I see a Mercedes driver too. That is Stark Diaz. That is Forstall. Oh, but he is invalidated, decides to head into the pits. I see a Ferrari, though, coming across. That is Blitz, also heading into the pits. Mark finishing is at 1:42.1. The McLaren driver here. Driving in Tier 2. We'll see who else is on a fast lap. Mersaky himself not on a fast lap. Forstall in the pits, Ben in the pits. Dylan out on track on an out lap. Nobody as of right now looks to be on a fast lap. Andy on a cooldown lap. Looks to be, though, Fate will be the first one across the line. We'll hop on with him as we see a caution. Sector 2 looks like Spark may have lost a little bit here or there. But here we go. We'll watch Fate as he starts his fast lap here in Spa, trying to put a time on the board. Only driver that has yet to put a time on the board. Slots into the third gear going into turn 2 as you see a few people getting out of the lane. A Ferrari and a Mercedes will fate try and catch a slipstream. The Mercedes gets out of the way. The Ferrari gets out of the way, but catching a slipstream from the Ferrari is the Racing Bull driver on the battery. Flat out, 8th gear. DRS wing opens over 200 miles per hour. Finishing off into sector 1. Will he get a purple sector? He does with a 33.39. The Racing Bull driver very fast at the start of this race, but can he maintain it heading into the technical portion of the track? Goes maybe a little wide, leading into the long straight in the middle portion of sector 2 into the wide left-hander. So Toasty having some remarks in the comments. So Toasty making the guess that pole will be at a 141.3. Very interesting take there, Toasty. But hello from the comms booth, too. Glad you're joining us in chat. Everybody else, too, welcome. We're glad you're here, spending your wonderful Saturday afternoon/evening, wherever you're watching from, here today with us in the Intrepid Racing League, here in Spa, round 6 of our Season 6 championship. Too, as we see Fate finishing off his lap, comes out on the battery. His deploy is used, slots himself into P3 with a 142.071, not being able to break into the 141s just yet, but just shy of breaking into them and getting close to our front row is that Racing Bull. So trying to keep an eye out. Who else is on a fast lap? Fate. Solz. On a fast lap. He's almost a 10th down. Can he maintain it, though? Going for the remainder of this lap. I also see Spark is on an out lap, too. He coming across the line. Stark Diaz, too. Speed looks to me he improved just ever so slightly to a 144.78. Spark is not across the line, decides to head into the pits, but Solz does not improve. Only close by 0.05 of a second. Disney McLaren driver. The Forstall down a little bit too. 11 thousandths of a second of his time going into sector 1 here. We'll watch the Mercedes driver too in the mid 142s right now. Heading into it. Yeah, I think so too, Toasty. Maybe battery might have been an issue. Deployment is a strategy lots of drivers think about too going into this track. So we shall see what happens with all this. My two drivers very much are not happy with the rain. Two from Tier 3, not happy about the rain possibility within the race. So we'll see how that unfolds as we'll stay on board here with Forstall, watching him finish. Ben Arnold sets a provisional pole time with a 141.866. His teammate coming through the chicane. Will he join him and make a front row lockout for Mercedes? Will he be able to do it? He does not, but improves to a 142.087. Weaves and bobs a no to on track, saying no, he will not do it, but we shall see how this all plays out. But Blitz retakes the lead with the provisional pole of a 141.7. People now breaking into the 141s very comfortably to the Ferrari of Blitz. Showing his hand very easily right here as he goes through El Rouge in a Ferrari. Rocking Emperor Palpatine's favorite number, 66. If you know that reference, you know. So if you don't know, you need to go watch some movies is what you need to do. I believe that is 66, maybe 69, I don't know. No, it is 66. It is number 66 that he drives under. Let's see, Forstall's on an out lap. Stark Diaz, the Ferrari teammate, also on an out lap too. Oh no, he'll be heading into the pits as he is low on gas. But we are 4 minutes almost left here in qualifying, Q1, only qualifying session we will have tonight. So we shall see what our drivers do. Looking up at Ben. Ben invalidated his lap, but looks like he will head into the pits to Mersacky on an out lap. Invalidated. Looks to start his lap. Or will start a lap to the Red Bull driver. Coming across the line, starting his fast lap here in Spa. We'll stay aboard with him. My angle. Oh, little slippery there. A little Tokyo drift going into turn 1 for the Red Bull driver. Able to make the recovery. Decides to bow out of that lap because of that mishap. So, unfortunate for him as he clearly cuts the chicane too in Eau Rouge. Very obviously, but we'll follow aboard. Spark on an out lap. Dylan, though, the Williams driver on a fast lap, flat out going into the main straight, looking at Eau Rouge there in the distance. Flat out in 8th gear, hugging that curb. Getting across. Does he activate the battery going into the DRS zone? He does. It activates. Flat out over 210 miles per hour for the Williams driver. Sets up purple sector 1, down 2.5 hundredths of a second. Heading into the U-turn in sector 2. Goes into 3rd gear, very low on gas, so I don't know how that'll affect the tail end of this lap for him. Heads on the battery briefly to catch some more juice. Trying to save it, looks to be he is for the back straight. So we shall see what happens, but our top 6 drivers all within 0.4 of a second between each other. The rest of the grid kind of scattered out a little bit behind them, but still close in terms of time. So, but Williams tier 3 driver setting a purple sector 2. Can he maintain this throughout in Sector 3 and be able to make some noise and move himself up in the grid? You see the Alpine of Spark getting out of the way to the Red Bull of Mersacky too, trying to start on a new fresh lap. Dylan comes out. No battery left. Hops in the DRS. Is able to move up into a 142.2 for his time. Slots himself into P7. Way back, Spark starting his lap. Lots of other drivers trying to catch something to Fate. Looks to be on a fast lap. He is not. He's on an out lap. Here too. Trying to lock in and show an improvement of time on the board. But we'll follow along the Red Bull Mersacky, though. He seems to be on a fast lap. Low on gas, though, is the race. Oh, my goodness! Takes a spin! Hits the front wing! Slides out into Sector 2 in reverse. Trying to pull a Lightning McQueen. Maybe reverse his way to victory. I don't know, but he has a few drivers coming on track, too. Trying to get on the escape road to get out of the way of the drivers, but he looks to me will not make it on the front row. Unless he can somehow get there, but he will not get there on time. Fate, though, was able to get there on time and is right behind the Red Bull driver. Will he be able to make some noise tonight and get on the front row? Who knows, and we shall see. The only drivers not out on the pits, Forrestal, Ben, and Mark, and they will finish in those allotted times until someone else comes across the line. Looks to be the first one will be Spark. He is down 0.2, but he has a 144.7, so I don't know how much his position will change. Down the straight, and he improves to a 144.3, but stays in P11 as the Williams driver. So Dylan comes across stage 2. Mersacky finishes himself in P3. Ben Arnold in P3-2. I believe that is Fate too. The tail end. He is up though a 10th and a little bit of change, and he is out of deployment. Cuts the corner and invalidates that lap. Done by him, I see a Williams. That is Andy coming across on the battery too. Harvesting, but he is out of deployment, coming through the chicane. Can he make some noise? Slot himself up there. Will he be able to? He slots himself into P8 right behind his teammate Dylan. The Ferrari of Stark Diaz next to come across the line. The Ferrari driver, no deployment, hops in the DRS and the throttle. Does not improve his time. But the McLaren of Solz, he is down 2/10. Can he split the Williams driver, or can he put himself above both of them? We'll find out here soon. Ooh, takes a little spin there out of the chicane. Flat out, trying to make some noise. Does not improve. And slots himself into P9. Blitz, the last to come across the line, will be our pole sitter today in the Ferrari. Solzy here on board with him. But here is our grid setup going into Spa. We have Blitz, Ben, Wash, Saki, Murasaki, the GOAT, Fate, Forstall, Mark, Dillon, Andy, Solz, Stark Diaz, and Spark as our grid rounds off with our top 11. Getting our race director information here too today for our wonderful admin team. No pit stops as obviously 2. But this will be a very exciting race, chat. I don't know. What do we think? Toast, you seem to be the most active one. What do you think? What do you got? Anybody in the VC want to make any bold claims? Solz, he says he Solz. Z's and 2 within the chat says he... This is going to be fun, folks. It is raining here in Spa. We are in for a treat tonight. But we shall see. I'm going to give some time to the drivers to fix any setups or anything too they need to do. Mark making bold claims here in the Tier 2 paddock. So I don't know what Mark have been very strong in the we may have some interesting action going into turn 1 this race. So we shall see. But Ben feeling very confident in the rain. So racers in the VC, does it say when racers who are in my ear, do you guys know if what lap the rain may stop at all? Does it say for your strategies if the rain will end at all? Okay, so it looks like we'll be having a wet race the entire time. It may dry out near the tail end of the race, so we may have to deal with some drivers switching over from inters to slicks today. Toasty, very clear about the ad revenue coming in today too. Getting an ad right before the race start and lights out, but we'll keep waiting. Drivers, are you okay if we go 6:30 Eastern time? Or I think that's fair. Drivers in my VC, that's fine. Okay, cool. Just want to get some clarification from some few drivers in my ear right now. I'll keep reiterating a few times that they say, barring what they say. So we'll see what happens in this race. But we'll be lights out and away we go here shortly, as I'll give the go-ahead for people to ready up in the paddock. But we are in for you are in for a treat tonight. If this is your first time watching IRL, you are in a treat. You are in for a treat. It is racing. We are racing in the rain. Our drivers don't like it, but I know our viewers love it, and I love it too. So we shall see what happens today as we hear the wonderful beeps of the 10 seconds clocking down in my ear. taking a nice swig of a Miller Lite before commentating. Here we go, the 5 red lights, come on! And away we go! Here in Spa, a wet race, the Williams driver of Dylan losing it a little bit there in the start. All drivers seem to be on intermediates. Ooh, a little contact there between the V-Car and the Red Bull. Ooh, a little contact there behind the grid too between Dylan and the McLarens too. But going into Eau Rouge, we'll look at these front fours. Blitz ahead comfortably by a few tenths. Ben Arnold, Mercaki. Ooh, Ben losing it there a little bit too. Fate right behind him, Forstall. Ben trying to make a move on the opening lap, side by side, in the rain, in the Ferrari, at the tail end of the main straight. They slick. Oh, and there's contact, and the Ferrari goes off track. The Ferrari goes off track, so does Fate. And so does Solz a little bit too, to take some avoiding action. Looks like, though, Fate, the Racing Bull, able to get ahead of Forstall. Looks to be Solzy looking on the inside too of Forstall. Forstall goes wide, so does Solzy, so does Fate, leaving the door open for Solz, but does not make the move. Oh my goodness, what wonderful action going into this race. Ben Arnold though, ooh, a little slick and slidey there, a little Tokyo drift action between the two. Solzy trying to make a move on the Mercedes, ooh, a little love tap there. Stewards may have a good look at that, but Solzy making a statement. The McLaren TP trying to stay ahead here in the wet race too. Oh my goodness, what a start we've had. What an opening lap we've had here tonight in Spa, folks. Keeping an eye on these front runners here too. Of Fate, Solz, Forstall, and Blitz. They seem to be too. Tire strategies too. We'll take a look at the tire data too right here. Few people on wet. Solz, Mark, and Dylan all opt for the wet tires. Everybody else on intermediates this session as we're watching Fate here now too in P3 on the intermediates. Solz right behind him on the wets. Will he try and hold up the grid? Ooh, little lockup there from the McLaren driver as we see Blitz dropping down the order, going wide into the chicane. The beautiful shot. You see Ben very much setting the tone. 2 seconds ahead of Mercaki. Mercaki 1.4, now 3 seconds away from Fate. But Solzy trying to remain within DRS, but DRS absolutely will not be active right now. But will we see a move from Forstall here? They have similar battery. Forstall's on it. Beautiful shot of Eau Rouge right there, folks. Oh, well, as you see our drivers driving through. Forstall looks on the outside and around him, makes the overtake on the McLaren TP. And he's trying to make a move. Solzy! What an interesting, the stewards may have a look at that. Oh my goodness. What was going on there between the two drivers? I don't know, folks. But Solzy going wide, too. Looks to be maybe giving the position back to the Williams driver. But Blitz making an opportunity of himself as well. Taking advantage, slotting himself into P6 in between the McLaren and the Ferrari drivers, too. Forstall has a clear shot now at Fate. Can he make something happen here? But Fate also, too, looking into the gearbox of Mercaki very closely, too. Both drivers on intermediates. The track, as we continue to drive on it, will start having a dry line too. So we'll see how the rest of this race goes. But keeping an eye on these close fights. The Williams driver Andy, too, newly signed so a few weeks ago, trying to maintain his lead over, the Ferrari right now in terms of the latter half of the grid. But Fate trying to catch Mercaki, the Racing Bull driver, trying to pull off maybe an upset, who knows, we'll see as we get back on the main straight, going into lap 3 of 22 here in Spa. Ben Arnold with a confident lead. Solzy decides to take to the pits, most likely probably for some damage. We'll see if we can take a look, see what damage he has. No damage whatsoever, but decides to switch tires, decides to opt for the intermediates. The McLaren driver, as we'll head watching back up to some action further up the grid, heading into Eau Rouge. These two drivers here, the Red Bull and the Racing Bull of Fate, trying to stay ahead, but Forstall too, holding back a fit. Andy going for an interesting strategy to very much not staying behind Forrestal. Maybe trying to get out of that dirty air going in too. As it looks to be Spark under threat too by Mark, the McLaren, for the battle for P7 too. Wonderful shot. The rain moving sideways on screen. Oh my goodness. Our drivers are trudging through it this race too. But keeping an eye on these two keeping it very close, keeping it very clean though. They trying to catch up and do something. So, but I think we may see some more action as a dry line starts to clear up too. Heading into the later portion of the laps. Andy still trying to look onto the Mercedes driver of Forrestal too. Forrestal losing his rears a little bit through the corners here. Heading into the final technical session until going into a flat out back straights to Andy, and Blitz are eyeing him up too. Andy, full battery too. Will he make a move? It looks like he might try. Decides to not opt on the battery, goes to medium. Sees Forrestal is harvesting, looking very closely. Will he make a move into the chicane? It looks like it. Decides not to, stays behind the Mercedes driver, the Ferrari Blitz, though, keeping very close tabs. If any of the drivers hit him, will make a mistake and try and make do of an opportunity. Andy, though, looking very, very close. To the Mercedes driver. Will he make something happen going into Eau Rouge? Both drivers to be harvesting. Forrestal on this battery, though, too, trying to defend as best as possible going into Eau Rouge. Ooh, losing a little bit of grip there, too. The two drivers back on the battery, though, is the Williams driver trying to catch the slipstream of the Mercedes. Will he make something happen? Tries, stays wide. Will he break a little late? No, decides to stay behind the Mercedes, but sets a purple sector 1. 2, is he trying to go for a fastest lap? We shall see. But these three right here staying very close together. Looks to be an overtake. Behind us is Spark and Mark duking it out too, right behind this little pack too. Keeping an eye on Mark very close to the Alpine, but moving up to this little group here until we see some action between Fate and Mersanki. Fate, though, out of DRS range against Mersanki, though he has some work to do, folks, if he wants to be able to maintain, he wants to get some more points for the V-Carb team. Mercedes looking very confident right now with the P1 and P4 right now into the race. Ben Arnold almost 8 seconds ahead of Mersanki. Very dominant victory here. Almost W17-esque. Almost. Who knows? I'm very young to the sport, but I know that reference. Not the W17, W13 or W12. I think of the Mercedes. But the Williams driver on the gearbox within 3/10 of the driver ahead of him. Ooh, Forrestal losing his grip a little bit, though. Fate, you see there, looking to on the Red Bull driver of Mersanki briefly into turn 1. Will we see a move? Fate trying to do something, trying to get some grip too, as we see a dry line starting to appear on track. Mersanki losing his rears ever so slightly too. Will we see an attempted overtake by Fate? Most likely not, but the Williams driver of Andy may make something happen, gaining on him as Mark and Dylan both pit. Mark opting for intermediates, Dylan deciding to go for the intermediates too. So we shall see how the rest of this race will pan out. But beautiful bird's eye view shot of our drivers in the track. Andy trying to make something happen against Forrestal here in Spa. These two keeping it very close and contested here for this battle for P4. Blitz also trying to make his presence feel known too in the Ferrari behind the Williams driver, wanting to snag some points for the constructor too. Yeah, Toasty, I agree. He's Ben Arnold putting in that work right now. Lunch pail shovel. So, but we'll see if any of these leaders pit. We are 5 laps in here in Spa. Forrestal loses his rears a little bit coming out of that corner. But Andy trying to stay strong with him, trying to give you some extra But we'll keep these UI on so that way we'll be able to see the position too. Anything else you guys want to see, let me know in chat, and I will put it on screen to the best of my ability. But, oh, wonderful side view shot. Oh, my goodness. Andy making a move on the outside. Side by side are the two drivers. Forstall, Andy going for the switchback into the chicane side by side. Will he decide for a switchback? No, they go side by side. And Forstall maintains his position, but Andy on the outside going into turn one. Will he make a move? Forstall trying to pinch him. Andy stays behind the Mercedes driver. Maybe a little love tap there between him and the front wing and the gearbox of Forstall. Here too, trying to save some battery. Both drivers are for heading into the DRS straight out of Eau Rouge. Andy instantly on the battery. No, will we see a move? These two have been duking it all race long so far, heading into the braking zone. Andy decides to go on a separate line too. Forstall maintains his P2, or P4, my bad. And able to stay ahead. Andy eyeing him up. Keeping it close, decides to go on the outside. Makes the overtake, the two drivers side by side. Forstall makes the overtake on the inside, but very close. The two drivers cutting to the chicane. Oh my goodness, Andy takes the lead. Little left up between the Mercedes and the Williams. Forstall loses the position to the Williams driver. Will he decide to make a move again? Blitz trying to stay close, maybe make an opportunity out of something that the two drivers slip up, but we shall see. Oh my goodness, what intense action we got here in lap 6 in Spa. I'm going to take a quick sip of my beverage while I have the chance. Woo. Blitz now making his presence feel felt. 2 on Forstall. So is it the grip, or is it the tires, or is it the driver? Who knows? Andy, though, starting to pull a little ways away from the Mercedes driver, excuse me. But watching the tail of the Williams driver, you see Forstall and Blitz there too, duking out the Williams driver, trying to pull away as fast as possible. As we'll keep an eye watching these two from his rear. To TV pod, excuse me, of Forstall on the battery. Blitz harvesting his, looking for something here too, but they are now spread out. But Fate looking very close on Red Bull as those packs start spreading out a little bit. Fate was very close there to Mercedes. The dry line clearly seems to be on right now as those drivers clear away that water. So we're going to see, we may not see much overtakes anymore. Fate, though, eyeing up the Red Bull driver. Will he make a move? He is in the VC with me. He is locked in and not saying a word, too. Dialed in is the Racing Bull driver. Mercedes going out wide onto the wet for some reason, too. Going wide, too, there again. I don't know if he's trying to, if the two drivers are just trying to clean the track up and offer some more grip, but these two have tangoed before and they're going to tango again. Will we see Fate maybe make a move on this back straight, or will he save his battery for hit flat out in sector 1? So we shall see. He on the battery, Mercedes harvesting. So Mercedes on the battery though, but has plenty more battery than Fate. So will we see a massive defense by the Red Bull driver or not? Ben Arnold more than 10 seconds away from the rest of, from these two podium sitters here. Absolute domination by the Mercedes driver here at Spa. Take a look at the back three here, the battle for P4. To Andy pulling away a 1 second gap more than to Forstall, but Forstall trying to defend in the Mercedes against the Ferrari. You see there Blitz eyeing up the number 98 car. Heading into Eau Rouge. It will pull away a little bit too, but also get a little bit closer, trying to catch a slipstream from the Williams driver. Blitz, though, very close, too. Ooh, kicks up a little bit of gravel, too, the Ferrari driver I saw there. So, but we'll keep an eye on these three right now. And keep also close tabs on Fate. Forstall goes a little wide! An opportunity for Blitz, catching up some ground to the Mercedes driver. To Fate. Blitz trying to make his move, gaining some ground within 3.5 tenths. Between the Mercedes driver. Will he try something going into this? Going into Sector 3. You're flat out like it is in Sector 1. Excuse me. I have the sniffles a little bit, guys. I am so sorry. But we will see the Ferrari driver on the battery. Forstall too on the battery, but the Ferrari driver does have more. Both drivers opt out. Ferrari has ever so slightly more, 5% more. Looking very close. Will we see a move going into the chicane? He looks, decides not to attack. Will we see a move going into turn 1? We'll have to watch and find out. We shall see. Both drivers have very similar batteries. Andy too, going on the wetter part of the track. The Ferrari ever so close going into turn 1. For the driver, Louis, a little bit of oversteer too. Trying to clear a little bit more of the track. The drivers are flat out into Eau Rouge. He has a lot more battery than Forstall does. Forstall probably going to be harvesting a lot during this straight. So we'll see. Here comes the Ferrari. Looking. He does not decide to attack again. Both drivers kicking up a little bit of gravel there too. Heading to the turn out of that main straight after Eau Rouge. Heading into the technical portion of Sector 2. Looking onto the rear of Forstall. Yes, too, Toasty. He definitely has struggled falling back from Andy. These two are the closest battling right now. Closest to the front, unless Fate can make something happen. But we should be seeing pits starting to happen soon, so maybe that'll shake up the race a little bit. We'll go with the TV pod of Blitz here. Ooh, Forstall losing his rears ever so slightly, heading into the chicane in Sector 2. Andy, you see there in the background, pulling away the Williams driver, slotting himself into P4. Could he catch Fate? Who knows? Forstall losing his rears, going wide. What is the Mercedes driver doing? Does have more battery, though, than the Ferrari driver. The Ferrari driver gaining, though, ever so slightly. Mercedes driver looks to be on medium, but the Ferrari looking close to the gearbox. Will he make a move? Decides not to. Stays behind the Mercedes. Forstall losing. Forstall heads into the pits, leaving Blitz to take his P5 spot. To Forstall, the first out of anybody to pit here in lap 10 of 22 in Eau Rouge. Will he pit for hards? No, he decides to pit for intermediate still for the rain. But I'm not going to lose too many positions. Spark able to pass him. You see the Alpine there coming out of the pits too. Will Forstall be able to stay in front of him? This might be close. And Spark able to maintain ahead of him, but Forstall immediately on the battery. Dude trying to make something happen, and on fresher tires, quickly able to make the overtake on the Alpine. Hitting the Rouge. Ooh, little love contact there too, between little up tap between the front wing and the left rear tire of Forstall. The Mercedes driver. These two duking out. Fate, though, looks to be very close on Mercedes too. Oh my goodness! Side by side almost are the two drivers too. Keeping it very close, nice and tidy into the chicane on the tail end of Sector 2, heading into Sector 3. We'll go to the TV pod of Fate here. Trying to get his POV of what's going on. Both drivers, Mercedes does have more battery, and he is on it too. Trying to force Fate. Fate trying to catch the slipstream. Mercedes knowing that part of the track does not have much grip. Ben deciding to pit. He won't lose many positions though because of his lead. Almost 15 seconds. Fate decides to head to the pits too. So Mersacky, will he get the lead? As we'll see the Mercedes driver coming out of the pits. He does. The Red Bull driver takes the lead. Now he needs to just build his gap, as you see him there. Going across to Andy, deciding to take the pits too. Excuse me. All drivers going for the intermediate tires. The Ferrari Blitz taking that last podium spot as of right now. To Fate coming out of the pits here in P4. The Mercedes of Forrestal, though, who did the undercut, able to get ahead of Andy. Once again, is Andy coming out of the pits too, so maybe we'll see another tango between these two drivers here too. But lots of the grid spread out, though. Ben Arnold trying to catch up to Mersacky. Mersacky has not pitted yet, so he will most likely be the next one to pit. Everybody else, though, has come into the pits. The two McLaren drivers of Mark and Solz tightly knit together, with Spark right behind them and Dylan, too, in the rear. So everybody will be getting points, though, this race too. The two closest battles as of now seem to be the two McLarens. We'll keep a close eye on them in case any other battle for now until. So. And to Toasty informing me if the race finishes as is, Mersacky will be our new drivers champion leader right now. He needs to finish ahead of Blitz if he wants to insert himself into the top spot here in Tier 2. So thank you, Toasty. I appreciate that. But Zizan decided to leave the call, so now I still have Solz and I still have Fate here in my ear in the VC tonight. Anybody is wanting to at all, we might do some open lobbies after this race. Who knows? We may not. We may do a watch party of the race tonight for 2 a.m. for those who are brave enough to want to stay up. But pre-race show starts at 11:30. To be fair, too, in almost 4.5 hours. But with not much to talk about now, with the grid so separated now, too, we'll keep an eye on these two out front, though. Ben catching very closely up to Mersacky. Though, too, the Mercedes driver wanting to retake back his lead of this race that he's had. Excuse me. Ooh, little Tokyo drift action there between Ben and the Mercedes. Mersacky just trying to hang on before he has to pit onto those onto maybe fresher intermediates. Both Ferraris have not pitted. Neither has the Red Bull. Both Mercedes, everybody else, though, has pitted. So Ben on the freshest tires. Will we see some action and a potential overtake here to Mersacky, though, saving his battery as much as he can to defend against the Mercedes driver for the lead of this race. That Mercedes driver eyeing him up like prey right now. Mersacky, though, almost full battery, has full battery right now. Will he activate it? No, he does not. The Mercedes driver makes the overtake for the new lead of the race. Mersacky not putting up much of a fight. Knows he just has to finish ahead of Blitz. But Toasty, my boy in chat, will this affect the driver standings at all? Or will Mersacky still stay ahead as he does decide to head into the pits? So Ben Arnold will maintain his lead in the race. Sets a fastest lap time too. And we'll go with that. No penalties so far. Here are our stops right now. Mersacky making the stop. Both Ferraris are the only ones that have not pitted yet now too. And there's our position change, grid 2, between all drivers. But big gap between Mersacky and Forrestal right now. Almost Andy now. And Stark Diaz almost 15, almost 16 seconds here, but we will keep it looking like this for now. In close eye, Fate here, flat out on the main straight, defending his Mersacky. Ben implementing now his plus 10 second lead above the Ferrari of Blitz. Mersaky has some ground to make up. He wants a chance to take the lead of the Drivers' Championship to... Okay, so if it finishes now with Mersaky, he will still lead Blitz if he beats Blitz by 1 point. I bet that's changed now, obviously, after he's pitted. But when he was in P2 and Blitz was in P3, Mersaky would be ahead by 1 and separated by 1 point, and then it will be Forrestal, who will be 9 points back away from Mersaky. Everybody else will be 20-plus points away, essentially. So, but the drivers to watch are going to be Blitz, Mersaky, and Forrestal. P2, P4, and P5 are those drivers. Here's one of them trying to make something happen and gain some ground back against Fate. As we head into 9 laps, now 8 laps remaining here in Spa. Blitz 2 is also on old tires too, so Fate trying to catch up too. Ben Arnold extending his lead now to 12 seconds. So we shall see what will happen here. But the Red Bull driver still very close to the Racing Bull of Fate. So what will happen? Can Blitz hold on with these older tires? May try and just wait for the switch over to dries. If that happens, is what his whole point may be. We'll go look back on the tire and the tire data here. In terms of laps, both Ferraris on the oldest laps on 13 laps on the tires. The tires they started with have not pitted so far. Stark Diaz, though, between Andy, very close, though, to the Mercedes of Forrestal once again. These drivers have tangoed throughout this race and have been keeping it very close. So the closest right now, Mark II eyeing up Stark Diaz. 2 in the back on the main straight going to Rouge. Will we see some action here? No, looks like we won't, but Spark will make an overtake on Solz heading into the turn, but keeping an eye on these battles in the back of the grid. We'll head to the one closest up front. Andy, very close to the Mercedes of Forrestal. Here, let's get rid of that spectator menu. So sorry, chat. We shall see the Williams driver wanting to make some action happen. Andy on the 1 lap fresher tires, full battery 2, compared to the Mercedes driver of Forrestal. Andy harvesting that battery, trying to go flat out, keeping it very close. Forrestal going wide, probably got a warning. Dylan got a penalty too, most likely 3 seconds. Blitz decides to head into the pits too. Mersaky will take a sigh of relief to see that. Z-Plan wants to stay ahead now too. Fate slots into P2. Mersaky P3, Forrestal P4, Andy P5. Blitz will fall down into P6, just ahead of his teammate, who separates the latter half of the rest of the grid. Briefly, Andy trying to look. Mercedes heading into Eau Rouge, gaining some ground a little bit there too. Looking very close, heading to the main straight. The 2 drivers very close, side by side. Forrestal maintaining the lead, defending the inside, side by side with the 2 drivers. And the Williams driver loses his rears, but still keeps it close, heading into Sector 2, the technical portion of this track. Here in Spa, Forrestal able to maintain his lead, loses his rears a little bit there too. So track evolution coming into play here a little bit. Seems to be with these tires, or maybe these tires are starting to run thin for the Mercedes driver in Tier 2. Andy, though, keeping his eye on the ball, trying to make some form of magic happen. Heading into the latter half portions of this race. Ben Arnold almost 20 seconds away from Fate. If he wanted to, he could theoretically pit for slicks if it gets to 20 seconds and still maintain the lead. The Williams driver, though, gaining more on the Mercedes driver. The Mercedes driver giving it all he has. The Williams driver has so much more battery. Will we see a move? He goes to the outside, makes the overtake. Heading into the chicane, the two drivers side by side, still looking from the Williams POV, makes the overtake cleanly into the chicane, heading into lap 16. Here's Spa Forcel wants something to say with that. Looks on the inside, decides not to attack the Mercedes driver, but still eyeing him up. Will Andy decide to pull away? Has more battery than the Mercedes driver. The Mercedes driver just trying to hang on and keep up with the Williams driver. The Williams driver flat out on the battery too, and has lots of it, able to probably pull away from the Mercedes. Unless the McLaren there by accident. But cooking is the Williams driver, trying to stay ahead of Forrestal. Blitz 2 behind, trying to catch up and make something. Solz opting for the medium dry tires as we start to see slicks show up on track. Mark going for intermediates. Dylan also too opting for intermediates too. But this Williams driver trying to maintain ahead between these two drivers. Gap within a second. Andy trying to make sure that changes. Two, we'll look at penalties. Looks like, oh, Dylan may have gotten a spin in the pit lane and a 3-second penalty. Two. Keep a look at the tire. Solz decides to opt for the dry tires. Yeah, this is Solz. And go for the slicks on medium tires. How much quicker will those feel for him? As he says in my ear, he says, I'm sliding, but I'm not going any quicker. Oh, he's not sliding. He's not, can't confirm he is not sliding, but he is clearly not quicker, according to the McLaren driver. Blitz there in the background, wanting to make some ground now on fresher tires too against these two. The Williams and Mercedes of Andy and Forrestal. Oh, excuse me. But these two, beautiful shot of them going into Eau Rouge. Here, flat out. Solz' in-game engineer said they're at the crossover point right now and says he lied. Very interesting claims by the McLaren team principal driving here in Tier 2. So, but will we see anybody else decide to go to the pits? Will any of the leaders decide to pit? Will Ben take his gamble and decide to go on the dries and maybe maintain his lead, maybe sacrifice his lead? I don't know. Solz, though, losing a position to Dylan and the other Williams driver. Two. But we shall see. Meraki trying to keep close with fate and stay ahead of his two other drivers that he's tangling in the driver championship. Forrestal here that you see here, and Blitz, the Ferrari himself, you see right there. But we'll keep a close eye on this battle. Spark, though, seems to be very close on the Ferrari of Stark Diaz. Two on the gearbox of it, the Alpine driver, Golden, being very happy. Two, sticking my hand out of the comm box, as Toasty recommends, and I can feel lots of raindrops. Folks, here too, the rain looks to be not going away. Maybe briefly, as you see there, a little peek of Mr. Sun. While we're on board with Spark, the Alpine driver here, tangling and battling against Stark Diaz. Stark Diaz goes a little wide, loses his rears. How's his battery? Battery's almost exactly the same. Spark, though, trying to make some magic happen for Alpine. Toasty is saying that Solz is cooked in chat right now. Solz, if you have any comment, you let me know. And Solz says he's heard from his engineer 5 minutes until the rain is gone. Will drivers take the gamble or stay out on intermediates here in the latter half of the race with almost 4 laps? Oh my goodness! The Ferrari of Spark Diaz loses it! Maybe clips the front wing of the Alpine! And he does! You see, there's the front end plate. The front left end plate of the Alpine gone. Stewards, we have a good look at that, but the Ferrari driver losing his car. They are out of the chicane, heading into lap 18. The Alpine driver gets a position, splits the Ferraris, but loses a front wing end plate too. In the head, Toasty, you can see right there, you see his end, the Alpine's end plate gone by Finito. I'm done. Get me out of here, out of this wet rain. All thanks to Stark Diaz, the Ferrari, losing his rears. A little bit into the chicane. Tail end though, but this Ferrari here, Blitz, eyeing up Forrestal. The two drivers losing a little bit of a grip there too. Forrestal trying to just hang on to anything, struggling in the rain. Oh, looks, Forrestal goes wide, through goes Blitz! Into P5. Ben Arnold pits, going for fresh intermediates. Fate takes the lead of this race as he comes out to the pits. So does Forrestal. Forrestal too looks to be opting for fresher intermediates too. Maybe, will we see? I don't know, but I want to keep my eye on these two right here. Fate trying to defend. Ben, no battery, brakes a little late. Maybe a little love tap there too between the two drivers. The front wing of Ben and the gearbox of Fate. Oh my goodness. Going into the inside, decides not to attack, stays on the dry line. Fate losing his rears a little bit. Tokyo drifting. Ben eyeing the gap ever so slightly on Fate, looking for something. Oh my goodness, this driver is trying to be peak Lewis Hamilton, maybe Max Verstappen, as Lewis seems to be saying in chat. Here too, apparently according to Solz in my ear, still at the crossover here, so I don't know if we'll see any more drivers pit. Forrestal looks though he has gotten a penalty, 3-second penalty for him, 3-second penalty for Solz, and a 13-second penalty for Dylan. But these two drivers right here are duking it out. Oh my goodness, side by side. The Mercedes driver makes the overtake. Does Fate have a response on the older tires to try and battle for this race win? He has more battery going into this main straight as we head into lap 20. Here, or will Ben be able to pull away and cement his win here in Spa? Fate wanting to stop that with 2 laps remaining. The two drivers and Meraki too close behind these podium drivers here. We'll take a look at them. Maybe get a wonderful, beautiful shot of them going into El Rouge, the 3 leaders. Two keeping an eye on Fate. Ben pulling away, trying to do something. Both him and the Mercedes driver are struggling on ERS, but looking to charge it up going into Sector 2. Heading into all 3 drivers now within a second of each other. To Meraki, though, very much closer to Fate than Fate is to the Mercedes of Ben. Mercedes of Ben losing his rears a little bit there, too. Heading into the U-turn here in Sector 2. Heading into the latter flat-out portions of Sector 2. Fate on the battery instantly, but all drivers now within more than a second between the two in terms of gaps, but we'll keep an eye on this. This has been entertaining so far, too. Mark, though, looks to be making the overtake on the Ferrari of Stark Diaz. Looks like me, that's going into turn 1, heading into El Rouge. Mark pulling ahead of the Ferrari driver. Fate trying to hold P2. Will he be able to, and will he be able to do something and maybe make something happen? So we shall see. Ben, though, pulling ahead as he has ever since he took the lead of this race. The Mercedes driver, dominant performance by him across the board. Mercedes and Aston have to be happy about that too, and hopefully we'll be happy with however their points finishes may be. Interesting. Ooh, Fate goes for a little Tokyo drifting there too. Turn right to go left. If you know what that means, you know what that means. All you educated folks out there. Solzy in my ear still telling me that the in-game engineers are saying that they're still in the crossover as we head into one more lap remaining into this race. Yeah, looks like you might do, Solzy. You might need a new engineer. Who knows? But we'll keep a close eye on these two battle, but also keeping an eye on Andy battling there with Blitz to these two drivers. Andy trying to maintain position. Will be seen overtake by the Ferrari. The Ferrari is trying to maintain the slipstream. The rain has stopped, it looks to be. So we shall see no move. The Ferrari looking very close, though. Going back to this battle up ahead, though, too. Between this battle for P2. Solzy complaining about the slipperiness of the track. To Stark Diaz opting to pit for the dries, it looks to be. We'll look at these tires. We'll have these up too. He's been on those bad boys for 20 laps. Opts for the medium tires to go on and finish this race. Out to Mercedes. Will any of these leaders decide to pit, or will they stay out? My best bet and guess will probably be they will decide to stay out. Beautiful shot, grass shot of the two drivers. Mercedes eyeing up. Caution sector 1. Looking on the inside, a little bit of lockup there by the Red Bull driver. And he does not decide to go into the pits. The two drivers going to duke it out. Fate goes very wide. Opens the door for the Red Bull. The Red Bull says thank you. Heading into the final lap of this race, Mercedes slots himself into P2. Fate looks to be just trying to hang on with 11 lap old tires. Andy too, hanging on too. Looks like that'll be it of that battle. This last lap. Oh, we'll keep an eye on it though too. With Eau Rouge coming up, will Fate make something happen? Keeping a close eye too on the battle behind them for P4 of the Williams of Andy and the Ferrari of Blitz. So we shall see. No movement appear from these two. Keeping an eye on these two though. The Ferrari gaining. Low on gas too. Both drivers are. The Williams driver has more. Ooh, a little love tap there by the front wing to the gearbox of the Williams driver. The Ferrari driver wanting to make some noise and try and get some more points for the Drivers' Championship. But looks to me, if either maybe Toasty or Lewis can confirm for me, if the race finishes as is right now, Mercedes will be our new Drivers' Champion and new Drivers' Championship leader. Okay, Solzy will inform me. Oh, Blitz losing his rear tires there. Heading the roundabout portion of Sector 2. Going in. But as some of these battles have been dominating this race so far, here's your position changes too in the latter half. We'll head back to this battle in just a second, but going on with Ben finishing the race. Ben Arnold 07 will win the Belgian Grand Prix. Mercedes P2, Fate P3. But this battle here is not over yet, folks. The Ferrari and Williams battling out on the last lap. The Williams goes wide. The Ferrari takes advantage. Blitz overtakes, heads into P4. Into the chicane. As our podium finishes out, Mercedes, Red Bull, Racing Bull, Blitz will take Ferrari for P4. Andy, P5. Poor mistake by the driver there at the end. I don't know what happened. But Forrestal, trying to just finish strong, has had a struggle of a race. Finishes in P6. Whereas the rest of the grid here too, we'll watch them. To Mark, trying to make something happen onto the Alpine of Spark. Spark defending. Very glitchy there. Spark has more battery. Oh, but goes wide! Goes wide. Mark goes round outside, makes the overtake cleanly for P7. For the McLaren team. As he comes across the line here shortly. Ooh, Ben saying at 80% tire wear. Yeah, Mark slots himself into P7. Spark slots himself into P8. Dylan, the other Williams driver, slotting himself, weaving and bobbing in B9. In the back of the grid here too, Solz and Stark Diaz Stark Diaz has lots more battery than the McLaren team principal. But we shall see. I highly doubt nothing will happen, and it looks like nothing will. So this will be the final order of your grid. Ben Arnold, P1, Mercedes P2, Fate P3, Blitz, and Andy rounding out your top 5. Forrestal, Mark, Spark, and Dylan P6, 7, and 8, 9, respectively. And Stark Diaz, P10, Solz, P11, finishing up in the back of the grid here today. What a race we've had tonight, folks. Here in Spa, wet race, lots of drama, lots of action, few overtakes, still wonderful. Here, wonderful podium celebration, much deserved. Ben Arnold dominating the entire time on track. Had a few scuffles with the other 2 podium drivers, to a Mercedes and the Racing Bull of Fate. 2 wonderful podium celebrations. Mercedes and the sign have to be very happy with that result. So we shall see the paddock going crazy right now. So thank you, Toasty. I appreciate it. Just want to make sure I get the best entertainment as possible out of any race that I can commentate for. There's your race winner, fastest lap driver of the day. All go to Ben Arnold. Spark with most overtakes here. But here's your finishing order. Ben, Mercedes, Fate, your podium sitters. Blitz and Andy round out the top 5. Forrestal, Mark, Spark, Dylan, and Stark Diaz round up your top 10. And Solzy in P11. Going to quickly try and get all the race director information while I can for the stream. Solzy 2 in my ear looks to be trying to get the information too. Got that for the stream, folks. What a wonderful race here we've had. But I hope you enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it here in the commentary box. I have been your host and commentator, Whoosh IC420, and I will see you tomorrow night as Tier 1 arrives. The best of IRL arrives to Spa tomorrow night. We will see you then. All of you, I hope you enjoy the race tonight. Go watch it. Go Team Mercedes. Go my Pookie, George Russell, tonight. But we will see you for Tier 1 tomorrow night.